One glance, one casually thrown phrase, and suddenly a hurricane of doubt rages within you, capable of sweeping away everything you've spent years building within yourself. We live in a world where the words and judgments of others cut deeper than sharp arrows. And devaluation is perhaps one of the most insidious manifestations of invisible violence. It doesn't leave bruises on the body. It leaves dents in self-esteem that are invisible to anyone but you. Before you learn how to turn these dents into a foundation of inner strength, subscribe. This is a conversation worth listening to until the end. In the modern world, this is one of the most common questions for psychologists. I'm not valued. I've stopped being noticed. My feelings are nothing to them. But if you look at life through the prism of Stoicism, an unexpected truth is revealed. Devaluation is not a blow from the outside, but an invitation to inwardness. It is a chance to test your own resilience, strength, and internal frame of reference. The Stoic knows not everything depends on him. The words of others are not his business. His business is his reaction, his choice, his principles. The Stoic never makes his value dependent on the opinions of others, because he knows true dignity does not come from outside. It is born in the heart of one who is able to remain himself in any context. Epictetus taught, "No one can offend you without your own consent." This means that if someone tries to humiliate you, it is you who choose to become inferior or to remain at your best. Devaluation becomes a test of inner maturity. But what should we do when the pain comes not from a stranger, but from someone we love? Not from a random passerby, but from those whose word is our anchor? Sometimes the words of loved ones hurt more than the outright rudeness of a stranger, because it is from those close to us that we expect recognition, compassion, and respect. And here we come to a deeper and more disturbing thought. When devaluation from loved ones hurts, it is a test of our attachment. We are hurt not because the person is bad, but because we ourselves, from within, have made them the bearer of too much power over us. We have invested in them too much hope, responsibility for our own well-being, and, most importantly, for our own worth. This is the main mistake, surrendering power over ourselves into the hands of others. A Stoic does not allow himself to do this. He clearly distinguishes where he ends and another begins. And it is in this boundary that true freedom is born. Freedom lies not in running away from people, but in the ability not to dissolve into them. When we suffer from devaluation, it's as if we're allowing someone else's voice to dictate who we are. But a Stoic knows, no opinion, not even that of the person you love, can either raise or lower your worth if you haven't opened the door for it yourself. Everything they say about you isn't about you. It's about them, about their level of awareness, about their own pain, about their inability to see the light in others. And if you cling to their recognition, you've already lost, because you've rented out yourself. It's important to understand, being devalued by loved ones isn't a death sentence. It's a mirror, and it reveals where you're still dependent, where you still expect love as if it were handouts, where you still hope someone outside yourself will confirm your inner worth. Stoicism says otherwise. If you want to be respected, start by respecting yourself. If you want to be loved, learn to be whole without someone else's love. And so, when faced with devaluation from those you care about, don't rush to respond. Don't rush to save. Don't rush to revenge. Simply take a step back. Step away not in anger, but in mindfulness. Not in despair, but in dignity. Create space between yourself and others so that in that gap you can hear yourself again. Because only distance, as the path to inner balance, allows you to regain your voice, drowned out by others' judgments. There are moments in everyone's life when silence and distance are not an escape, but the greatest manifestation of wisdom. A Stoic never seeks chaotic breakups, loud scenes, or harsh words. They leave not because they are afraid, but because they choose to preserve their inner integrity. Distance becomes the tool that allows one to separate what is foreign from what is one's own, to understand one's own feelings, to discern true motives, and to clear one's vision of the film of emotions. A person who is in constant, overly close proximity to others imperceptibly loses the sharpness of their perception. They cease to appreciate because they become accustomed. They lose respect because the boundaries are erased. Stoicism teaches, too close a connection leads to the loss of one's own identity. Everything that is constantly nearby becomes background noise, ceases to be a miracle. Even the sunlight in a room seems ordinary until you spend a little time in the dark. That is why, when relationships begin to fill with resentment, irritation, and devaluation, the first step should not be blame, but space. A Stoic doesn't make sudden moves. He steps aside. He doesn't disappear forever. He creates a pause in which he can once again hear his own nature. And in this pause, a true miracle often occurs. Feelings become clearer, internal reference points are restored, and the other person's true value becomes visible again. Not because they've changed, but because your perspective has shifted. Just as a work of art is best seen from a distance, relationships only truly breathe when they have room to breathe. This pause isn't an end, but a form of love for oneself and for the other. An opportunity to look not at the reaction, but at the underlying cause. And if devaluation does occur, it's not a reason to fall into rage or self-pity. It's an opportunity to rebuild the structure of the connection anew. And here begins an understanding of why some words hurt us, while others don't. Why does one person say, "Be yourself," and we soar internally, while another says the same thing and we flare up with irritation? It's all about distance. And now it becomes clear why advice from others often helps, while the words of loved ones don't. Not because the essence is different, but because we are too deeply involved to hear the essence without distortion. When we go to a psychologist, a philosopher, or simply read a wise text, a surprising phenomenon occurs. The words hit the mark as if written personally for us. Why is this? After all, if you think about it, loved ones sometimes say the same phrases, give the same advice, offer the same solutions. But this irritates us, repels us, and provokes internal resistance. The answer is simple. There is no distance between us and them. We are emotionally intertwined, which means that every word they say is already colored by our expectations, our pain, our shared history. A Stoic understands that in life, everything depends not only on what is said, but also on who is speaking and in what context. Too close a relationship with loved ones often makes us deaf to their words. We hear not their thoughts, but their tone. Not their advice, but our own internal tension associated with it. We expect one thing from them and receive another, and therefore reject everything, even if it sounds reasonable. But the words of a stranger, spoken calmly, without personal interest, are perceived differently. The same principle that underlies Stoicism operates here. Truth lives in clarity of mind, not in a storm of emotions. A Stoic is able to hear even the truth of an enemy, if it is just, because they do not filter personal resentment in the path of reason. This is precisely why the advice of a psychologist or sage often brings real relief. They do not demand emotional debt from us. They are not intertwined with our traumas. They sound from a distance, and therefore lie more easily on the heart. The same is true in relationships. We do not always need a complete break. Often, a pause is enough. This isn't a refusal to communicate. It's an attempt to clear the channel through which mutual understanding flows. This is where true maturity manifests itself, not in endless conversations, reproaches, and explanations, but in the ability to step back in time to listen not only to the other person, but also to oneself. And then we come to the next Stoic principle: distance as an act of wise relationship management. There is no room for chaos in Stoicism. Where most people experience outbursts, resentments, reproaches, and emotional swings, a Stoic makes a conscious choice. Not because they are cold or indifferent, but because they understand that nothing is worth their inner peace, and nothing should disturb their harmony with themselves. This is precisely why a Stoic prefers to regulate distance in relationships, like an experienced sailor steers a sail. They don't tear it in a strong wind, they don't abandon it to chance, but rather adjust the tension to the right level. Distance is neither withdrawal nor a boycott. It is a way to carefully maintain balance in a space where it is so easy to lose oneself. Often, when someone devalues us, we veer into one of two extremes. Either we fight for attention, demanding recognition, or we withdraw into resentment and disappear. Neither brings true freedom. The Stoic path is different. He says, step back to see clearly. Step back to preserve your dignity. Give someone freedom and see how they use it. Someone who truly values you won't leave if you've stopped holding on to them with both hands. And if they do, it means it wasn't a union, but an illusion of dependence disguised as love. Marcus Aurelius reminded, live in harmony with your nature and the nature of those around you. And human nature is such that closeness without the right to breathe turns into suffocation. If you're always nearby, they stop seeing you. If you're always available, they stop valuing you. True respect is born when a person feels you're not there out of weakness, but by choice. That you could leave, but you stay. You could be silent, but you speak. You are free, and that's precisely why you are valuable. Therein lies great strength. Not to cling to those who don't respect you, and not to lose yourself by losing someone else. Before we go any further, if this conversation has touched you, please subscribe. We'll discuss how to break the most ancient and painful relationship pattern, the dance of victim and tyrant. This strength doesn't come overnight, can't be learned from a book, can only be earned, endured, and lived. Because ultimately, it becomes clear, value that requires no recognition is the best shield against devaluation. There's a quiet, yet absolutely unshakable strength in a person who doesn't require external validation. They don't need applause, don't seek approval like a handout, and don't tremble with fear of rejection. They know their own worth, and this knowledge makes them truly untouchable. Not cold, not proud, not indifferent, but whole. This is precisely what Stoicism has been saying for centuries. If you respect yourself, no one can make you feel differently. Marcus Aurelius taught, respect yourself more than the praise of the crowd, for the crowd is fickle as the wind, while self-respect is an anchor. Someone who relies on the opinions of others is like a leaf tossed about in a whirlwind. But a Stoic cultivates a tree trunk within themselves. They are rooted. Devaluation only strikes those who lack an inner core. Because if you don't uphold your own value, someone will inevitably try to undermine it. And not even out of malice, simply because they can. But a person whose self-esteem doesn't depend on the opinions of others doesn't make others want to break them. On the contrary, they command respect because you can feel that this person stands firm. They don't ask for love, they're filled with it. They don't demand recognition because they know who they are. But where does this strength come from? How does this calm come? Through maturity, through Stoic balance. The answer, oddly enough, lies in the opposite, in suffering, in mistakes, in experiencing one's own weakness. It is through pain that we realize weakness lies not in tears, but in dependence on someone else's will. The victim and the tyrant are two poles of the same immaturity, and the way out of this duality lies not in struggle, but in growth. Stoicism does not divide people into good and bad. It looks deeper, to where the truth begins, hidden beneath layers of fear, pain, and ignorance. This is precisely why it condemns neither the victim nor the tyrant, but sees them as links in the same chain, as manifestations of the same inner incompleteness. After all, a victim is not simply a suffering person, but someone who has given up responsibility for their life to another. And a tyrant is not simply an aggressor, but someone who fears their own vulnerability and therefore seeks to dominate. Their connection is profound and almost mystical. They don't simply collide. They are drawn to each other like a magnet and iron. The Stoic observes this process without judgment, but with utmost clarity. Anyone who allows themselves to be devalued does so unconsciously, out of habit, because somewhere deep down they feel they have no right to be significant, that they haven't learned to be whole. They don't know how to stand on their own 2 feet and therefore seek support from outside. And those who are accustomed to suppressing others do so not out of strength, but out of fear, that otherwise they won't be noticed, recognized, or loved. It's an unconscious dance in which there is no leader. Both are led. The victim expects to be saved. The tyrant demands to be feared. And every day they anew perform this painful ritual, repeated from generation to generation. But the Stoic does not enter into this dance. He observes and emerges, because he knows being a victim is a denial of one's own power, and being a tyrant is a fear of rejection. clad in the armor of power. He breaks the cycle. He doesn't look for the guilty, he seeks the roots. He doesn't scream, "You hurt me." He asks, "Why did I allow this pain to enter?" And this question is the first step to healing. This step becomes awareness. Leaving the role of a victim is the path to a rational life, one in which there is choice, boundaries, and true strength. Anyone who has once realized that they are playing the role of a victim is already halfway to freedom, because in Stoicism, awareness is the first step to transformation. As long as a person blames others for their own pain, they remain in shackles. But as soon as they say to themselves, "I allowed this to happen," they become the master of their destiny. Not because they are guilty, but because they now see everything that is happening clearly. This is not just a blow of fate, but a response to an internal incompleteness. A Stoic does not seek sympathy, they seek clarity. Leaving the role of a victim means stopping looking for the cause in the external world. Stop asking, "Why don't they value me?" And ask yourself another question. Why don't I consider myself valuable without their approval? This is a turn inward. This is pain, but also true liberation, because you no longer live on handouts of love and recognition. You begin to build a home within yourself. This path is not easy. It requires the courage not to blame, not to take revenge, not to demand, but to create. To create new foundations within yourself. Reason, discipline, integrity. It's like growing a garden on land that has been flooded for years by other people's streams. But with each day, with each practice, you grow taller. And one day you notice, someone who could once destroy you with a single word now doesn't even cause you to hesitate. You are no longer dependent and therefore invulnerable. A wise Stoic knows you cannot get rid of pain without going through it. But you can change its nature, transform suffering into fuel, turn pain into strength. And when you stop being a victim, you stop being a target. People no longer perceive you as someone who will endure, wait, beg. And so they begin to treat you differently because you have changed the most important thing, your inner attitude. And so you have reached the final step of this path. Inner support is the foundation of Stoic dignity. True dignity requires no proof. It doesn't shout about itself, doesn't demand attention, doesn't seek others' approval. Simply is like a mountain, like the sky, like truth. Inner support is not an abstraction or a beautiful word. It is a deep sense of your own integrity, even when no one around you supports you. This Stoic core is your inner fortress, which does not crumble under the onslaught of other people's opinions, emotions, and demands. A Stoic builds this fortress daily, through practice, discipline, work, and the ability to distinguish between what is their own and what is imposed from the outside. They stop hoping that one day someone will come and say, "You are worthy." They become the one who confirms their worth through their own actions. They don't demand to be understood. They strive to be understood. They don't beg to be noticed. They illuminate the space with their presence. When a person develops this inner support, the rush, the anxiety, and the desire to earn love disappear. They no longer rush to save someone else's mood, no longer punish themselves for their pain, no longer exchange their own silence for attention. They gain independence, not in the sense of loneliness, but in the sense of true self-sufficiency. A Stoic cares for themselves not selfishly, but respectfully. They understand that the body is a temple, and the mind is its helmsman, and they take full responsibility for steering this ship. They strengthen their resources, physical, emotional, spiritual, because if you don't stand firmly on your own feet, you'll cling to others, which means you can be devalued again because you're needy. But when you fill yourself with energy, knowledge, creativity, meaning, you no longer have anything to ask for. You begin to share, and that's when everything changes. People sense your value not because you shout about it, but because it flows naturally from you, in your words, in your pauses, in your glances, in your decisions. And it's then, without a struggle, without a single unnecessary word, that you become someone impossible to ignore. And this is the essence of the entire Stoic path. Not in renouncing the world, not in suppressing emotions, but in waking up one morning and realizing you can no longer be devalued, because you yourself have become your own highest appraiser, judge, and friend. And then comes silence. the very silence in which true freedom is born. Having walked this path, from the pain of devaluation to inner support, you are no longer who you were at the beginning. You no longer seek reflection in others' eyes. You do not pounce on every word. You do not expect salvation. You do not cling to crumbs of other people's attention. You are no longer a victim. You are an observer, a creator, the master of your own life. You know how to be in relationships but not dissolve in them. You love but do not need. You respect but do not beg. And this is your true strength. Stoicism does not teach you to suppress feelings. It teaches you to rise above them, like a captain above the waves. To be in the world, but not to belong to it entirely. To value people but not to let them define you. To build connections but not to turn them into crutches. Everything you sought, recognition, love, peace, you always carried within you. You just used to look outward, but now you've learned to look inward. And if one day you hear a phrase filled with devaluation again, you will no longer flinch. You will smile, not out of pride, but out of clarity, because you will know for sure your value can neither be given nor taken away. It does not depend on opinions, roles, or other people's blind expectations. It is within you, and you guard it like a lamp in a storm, calmly, steadfastly, without a single cry. Therefore, if you find yourself in a place where you are not heard, not appreciated, not seen, do not shout, do not prove. Just shut up and step away. Let the world feel what it is like to be without you. Let yourself feel what it is like to be with yourself. And then one day you will understand you no longer ask for love. You become it. If this path resonates with you, subscribe. Here we talk about inner strength honestly, without embellishment, and help each other find that very support we discussed today.